And welcome to the Stoney Ridge Winery. Today is Wednesday, and we have the same crew back on hand today. This time we have the two candidates for mayor with us today, and we welcome both of them here and promise you that it will be a fun and enjoyable and painless event. Last time you were over and going to the dentist, that will be 10 times worse than what you're going to face here today. This is going to be gentle today. How's that? We have the right air in the room and the right people in the room. It's going to be a fun day here today. Before we get started, I want to turn everything over to Dan Yaris with the Bryan Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome, everyone. We are glad you're here. We thank the candidates for putting themselves out there, first of all, and being part of our election process, and we wish you all the best of luck. And we want to remind everyone that we do have another Meet the Candidates tomorrow at Union Street Grill, and that will be our school board candidates. So again, welcome everyone, and look forward to a good morning.
We appreciate Dan and the Chamber. They're our co-sponsors of these events, the 3 days that we have going on. In addition to Q96.5 FM and the Bryan Chamber of Commerce, we're also sponsored by Andrews O'Neill and Lowe, Amerimaid Realty, Main Stops in Northwest Ohio, the Napa Auto Parts Store in Bryan, Jay's Heating and Cooling, and D&M Service Center. And we couldn't do it all without Eric Herman and his bunch over there from BMU. They're making sure that everything gets going today and works well, and there will be video, I'm sure, that we can tell you about once we're done, so you can watch the replays of this here on TV. We appreciate everybody being here today. It looks like a good crowd. I guess with that, are you ready to go, Mr. Ron?
I'm ready to go.
Are you two ready to go? You got the gloves on and you got the hammies stretched and all that? All right, let's go.
Hopefully that's not the case.
I don't think it will be.
You're going to start with introductions, Jim?
Yeah, why don't we go that way, okay? Tom, why don't you start? How's that?
Okay. Well, Tommy Moore, and I've lived in Bryan here for the past 48 years, and came from a little town in Fayette, Ohio, and born and raised over there. And so for the, like I say, for the last 48 hours, have resided here in Bryan. Have spent 2 years in the military, and that included one tour of Vietnam. Also during my time in the military, I spent 6 weeks in military leadership training. And then coming to Bryan, I've been a volunteer firefighter, been president of the Bryan Athletic Boosters, been involved in various youth programs in the city in regards to football, baseball, that type of stuff. Was myself and Dr. Dave Roebuck and the late Dr. Larry Simon, who I want to make a mention is dear friend of mine, and we miss him and will continue to miss him, his smiling faces. But the three of us started the renovation of the Ray Sumter baseball field, and every time I go out there, I didn't put as much time in and money as a lot of other people, but I'm still very proud to walk onto that facility. And also was on the original committee to design and start the work of the Bob Schaefer track and field and football complex there in our by our schools here. So so basically that's a little history on myself. I've worked some people in the paper and the profile that I gave Ron. I failed to mention that I spent 12 years at Aero Corporation as a supervisor. I've had people come up to me, hey, you didn't even mention Aero. You didn't. It's like, okay. So I apologize. But then from there, I spent 30 years with TrueFast Corporation. And in that capacity, I was in marketing, I was in sales, customer service, traveled the worldwide. But that was a great organization. We started in Dwayne's Garage, which is probably about a 20 by 30 building. And when you walk out or you drive out on the corner of 2 and 6, you'll see what it turned into. So again, I'm extremely proud to be a part of that, over the years. And I just want to say this, that I think this is a very, very important position. And I'm going to take this, and I am taking it very serious. Mr. Current Mayor Johnson, his dedication, his integrity, and his hard work to the citizens in the city and the employees of Bryan has been outstanding. If he was not retiring, I personally would not be sitting here. He's done a wonderful job for this city. And I just hope that if I am elected, that I can come close to live up to the standards that he has set for this office here as mayor of Bryan, Ohio. So,
Don, thank you.
Yep.
Carrie, kind of a little more relaxed today, and we don't have 18 people around here, so take your time and let people know who you are. How's that?
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Carrie Schlade, and I'm excited for the opportunity to potentially serve as the City of Bryan's mayor. My husband Josh and I have 3 children, Lily, Eli, and Emma, who attend Bryan City Schools. I started working in Bryan in about 1999. That year I also received my associate's in applied business paralegal degree. I'll speak to my legal knowledge and background later, but that was from Northwest State Community College. In 2008, my family made the move to Bryan from Montpelier, where my husband owns a business. Since moving here, I have been deeply rooted and invested in this community. We have very much to be proud of the city, but there is always room for growth and new vision. I want to bring energetic, conservative leadership to help move Bryan forward in today's economic times. I understand city government, having been a former employee of the Bryan City Attorney's Office. I understand its workings from being a former member of the Bryan Planning and Zoning Commission and the Bryan Community Reinvestment Board, as well as your councilwoman for at-large for the last 2 years. Because of my involvement in the city business and the volunteer work I have given to the Bryan community through a variety of organizations, I feel I am a very qualified candidate for this job. I would appreciate your support on November 7th. I'd also like to remind you that early voting started today. I would like to thank the Chamber, Dan, WQCT, Mr. Funderburg, and also the Bryan Times, Ron, Stoney Ridge Winery, and BMU for hosting this event. I'd also like to sincerely thank Mayor Doug Johnson. He has given 16 great years of leadership to this community, and I wish him luck in his future endeavors. I would like to thank you, Mr. Moore, for your years of service to the country. And I know today we're going to talk about things that we need to change and maybe things, new directions. I don't want that to take away from the 16 years that Mayor Johnson gave this community. I think it's important to note that and appreciate that. And with that, that's all I've got for my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you both really for running. I think I can't point that out enough. Phil and I were talking before we came over here, and he made that comment too. It's good to see a good solid race like we're having here, and it would be nice to be able to have that across the board, and hopefully that'll happen for all the BPA and the council and all the positions. And hopefully what we're doing right now maybe will spur some people to get involved and be part of this a little bit more. All right, with that, Ron Osborn is with the Bryan Times, and I'll let you lead things off today.
Sure.
How's that, Ron?
Sure, thank you. And first of all, I do want to salute both of you guys for your service already on council and for your willingness to step up and run for mayor and to be on the forum here. We appreciate it. I think it's a great venue for people to learn more about you guys, so we appreciate it. I'm going to kind of ask you some general questions here to start with. Some of them might sound familiar from yesterday, but they kind of carry over with council and the mayor. Can you be specific about why you decided to run? Is there an issue or a topic that's especially important to you? And also maybe if you can talk a little bit about maybe 1 or 2 issues that you think are important to start with if you're elected that you want to tackle right off the bat. Tommy.
Yeah, it's something that I've always thought about, you know, that I thought I'd be very much interested in. But again, with Doug in that position and the job that he was doing, I just waited in the wings. And because, as Carrie had mentioned, I've lived here for 48 years, and I've raised 2 sons and 5 grandchildren. And, you know, I tell people, there's not a lot of things wrong with Bryan, okay? Bryan is a great community. You know, again, we've raised our children and grandchildren here. So yes, does it need some tweaking? Do we need some more involvement either from new industry or our current things like that? But definitely, I don't see a lot of changes other than, you know, try to get more economic. And so going to that, there's a couple, and these issues came up yesterday. And the first thing is all about finance, you know. And I want to make this point right now is that our people back in our office, in the clerk treasurer's office, Lori Rhodey and her crew, they've went through 7 straight audits, perfect audits by the state. As far as I know, that's unheard of. So far as when we look at numbers, we are extremely comfortable. Those are the right numbers, the correct numbers, the whole 9 yards. So, but finances continue to be the thing. So right now, if you look at our finances, we're in okay shape, okay? But you always have to lay some back for feed in case something goes wrong and things like that. And we continue to get less and less money from the state and that type of stuff. Some of it was hit on yesterday. I've got a thing right here. Inheritance tax, people wouldn't think about that, you know, but our last, this is 2016, the report that I have, but in 2014, our inheritance tax to the city was $270,000, okay? Last year, it was 0, okay? So that's a big hole, okay? They continue to try to cut other revenue coming into the city and that type of stuff. So definitely we're not getting the revenue from the state that we have in the past. So that is, finance is the big issue, okay? Now we have to find, in order to do that, you're gonna have to come up with some plans of how do we get maybe new and more revenue in here? Or, you know, are you going to have to continue to look at the budget and make sure that we're not overspending and things like that? What we're doing is it's necessary for the operation, for the safety and health of our citizens, you know. So finance is number one. So we have to continue, and I'm going to be right involved in that. And the other thing is of course, the industrial parks, bringing new business in and that type of stuff. It was hit on just a little bit yesterday. I think that our retention of our existing businesses is extremely important. I remember when I was at True Fast, it was always less expensive to keep a customer than to go out and find a new customer, things like that. So I think that we need, whether it's, and I know that Dan goes out for visits, Matt Davis with Wedco, he does a great job, you know, he goes out. I know the mayors went out to various businesses and things like that. I think that we need to come together and work something out so that we're making sure that we're paying attention to our existing businesses and what's going on in their world and that type of stuff.
We'll get to that here in
Okay.
a minute or two, too, okay?
Yep.
Tommy, thank you.
Yep.
Carrie, the same idea.
The question was, why did you decide to run, and 1 or 2 ideas you'd start with? Is that okay? The reason I decided to run is because I love this community. I do not have an agenda. I do not see any issues with the employees. I think as far as the city goes, we have top-notch employees. Tommy is correct in the fact that Lori Rhodey and her staff have done a very great job managing our finances along with the mayor. They should be applauded for that. All of our department heads are great individuals who care about this city. That's something I've spoken about. They have servants' hearts. No one's ever decided to be an employee of the city, of any city, for the money and to get rich. It's something that takes a special kind of person. And I also feel that I am that special kind of person. I have served this community over myself in numerous ways. I do have connections. I have connections with local business owners. I have connections with local government. I have connections with state officials. I am a candidate who has cell phone numbers of our state representative, our senators. I know how to get in touch with those people when I have questions, and they are very quick to respond to me as well. Some of that is with my work through the Williams County Republican Party. I serve on the executive board for that, and I'm the secretary-treasurer of that organization. Another thing I'd like to say, last night we were at the soccer fields for the light dedication. I don't like to say I do a lot of things. I think it takes community effort, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that that effort on that field has been going on since 1985. With that being said, it does take the right person to lead a group of people to raise $200,000 in 3.5 months on something that they've been told no for a long time. And I do think I bring those kind of things to the table. I think I have the passion, I have the progressive ideas. And again, I just care about this community. Mr. Betts touched on it yesterday when he said, friends of mine are telling their kids not to move back here. I don't ever want to have to tell my children that. And I don't think anyone else does either. So we need to make sure that while we're fiscally conservative with our budget, we need to make sure we're taking care of the community. I do think there are some grant opportunities available on our low to moderate housing areas. I do think that working with the chamber and other organizations, we can really work together to clean up the downtown, get some activity here. I have said for a long time, if your kids are in sports, you have plenty to do in Bryan. But if they're not, we need to make sure that you have somewhere to go at the end of the day and be a community. And that's the part of the soccer lights that I noticed last night. There was a community out there, and it was really great to have all of those people. And those are the kind of things that I enjoy about this town. It's a safe town. We take care of each other. But there are ways that we can improve, and that's one of the ways. I'd also like to talk about industry. Are we talking about industry later?
Yeah,
Sorry. Okay, well then we'll leave that for now.
Later, but if you want to hit on it briefly.
Well, I think the big thing it is very important to take care of your home base. I spoke about that 2 years ago when I was up at the Aero Building for the Meet the Candidates night then. But we need to look for something a little different, something that won't take away from what we have, but it also has to be something that has livable wages. That's something we have to talk about. With the government formed the way that it is on a national level, we have to make sure that people want to go to work and it's worth it for them by wages and benefits and those type of things. So that's something that we need to look at when businesses are coming. So those are two areas, I guess, finances, downtown, and I hit on business a little bit that I think are important. But as far as my deciding to run, I will tell you a year ago, I never thought I would run for mayor today because I really thought that Mayor Johnson was going to continue to do that. I would have never run against him. I think he's done a good job. His family loves the community just like we do. So I'm here today because I think I'm not reaching my potential as a council member for the city, and I think I can do that as mayor.
Thanks, Gary.
You have a follow-up, or you want me
Go
to
ahead,
take
Jim.
one over?
Go
How's
ahead,
that? That
Jim.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
take
Let's
one.
move it right on to that point, because one of the conversations we had yesterday was our solutions and our ideas with these industrial parks that we have, and where we're going to spend our money if we're going to have to help encourage business, okay? And the fact that we do have a real problem in all of our businesses, no matter what business it is, to find people to show up and go to work every day and take those jobs that we have. How do we balance that, and what are you guys thinking? You both been on council, okay? Carrie, we'll start with you. Give me a little feel for how we approach a problem that is not as simple as saying we're gonna put out an industrial park and bring in a brand new job and have 1,000 new positions sitting there. So go ahead and elaborate on where you started from. How's that?
Okay. Thank you, Jim. I think one thing we need to talk about is not everybody has to go to college. When I graduated from Ayersville High School, and I got really good grades at Ayersville High School, and I had fantastic teachers just like we do here in Bryan, I decided to go to Northwest State. I knew kind of where I wanted to go in life. I knew I did not want to be an attorney, but I loved the legal field, and so I chose paralegal. I think that we need to remind kids that they don't have to go to a 4-year college and get a bachelor's degree to be successful. I think that we need to be in the school system, and that's one thing I do. I teach junior achievement through the school system, and I've taught anywhere from first grade to high school. The one thing they did last year that I really enjoyed was they did JA in a day for freshmen. And I taught the morning class to a group of freshman kids, and they were broken down by alphabetical order. And then in the afternoon, they went and visited local industry, showed them the kind of jobs that we had in Bryan, Ohio. I think that's important, and I think WEDCO is touching on that quite a bit right now, and I will applaud Matt Davis and his efforts, and Megan as well. We have to let these kids know skilled trade is okay. You can make a livable wage other ways than a bachelor degree, and a lot of times when they go off to college, they don't come back. So that helps us retain our youth. As far as the industrial parks, I will say, for the record, I do not think that buying the industrial park was a mistake. I think there's been a little lull in the development. Some of that had to do with not having a director at BMU after Brian Carlin left. I have very high hopes for Kevin Maynard. I think he's doing a great job already. And I know that we are starting to work with WEDCO and Jobs Ohio to try to market those business or those lots. We also have 5 lots in the Industrial Park South that we need to worry about. And so we have to find the right fit for Bryan. We have to make sure that, again, it's a livable wage, it's a competitive market, but it doesn't take care of or take away from Bard or Ohio Art or Spangler and our big businesses. The other thing we lack a little bit is housing. We have housing for certain ranges of individuals, but we don't have a lot of housing for the people that are going to be in the new workforce. We have to adjust and figure out what kind of housing they want. I'm not a millennial. I would like to make that clear right now. But I do have 2 brothers that are. One is living out in Charleston, South Carolina. There is a beach there, so I get that part of it. But a lot of it has to do with the way the company operates. He has a lot of flexibility. And he also, you know, they've got living arrangements where they're all in communities. They have pools. They don't have to mow the yard every day. They have, you know, parks and things to walk their dogs in. But it's a different kind of environment for those millennials. And that's one area where I think Bryan is lacking. I don't think it's anything that we did that was wrong. I just think it was something that we maybe didn't foresee. And so that's where I go into the progressive ideas that I have. Sometimes you see the puzzle pieces, but you don't see the whole puzzle. And we need to work as government in trying to find that whole puzzle and completing all the parts to it.
Interesting. Okay. Tom, you know what? That sounds like a lifestyle that I'm hoping to live here pretty soon. We don't have to cut the grass, things like that. It's a tough issue. I know you guys both on council have been dealing with that. What's your opinion on these?
Well, what Kerry said is that my plan is I have spoken to some people at Northwest State. I have spoken to people at Fort County, and again, I think I'm not sure what we would do if somebody came out here and took 60 acres or whatever it was, the industrial park, and said, you know, we're going to bring in 60 jobs and things like that. You know, I think originally what's going to happen is that they would probably start stealing from other industries, things like that. This workforce issue is not just in Bryan. It's not in Williams County. It's statewide, nationwide, the whole 9 yards. So again, how do we get there? I know some manufacturers are having a co-op program yet, you know, and that's a great program. But my intentions yet is to speak to the young kids here at Bryan and try to make sure they understand that, boy, they can go out and find a trade and make a great living, you know. And the other thing is, when I'm there, I also want to speak to the kids to say, okay, you're a junior, senior, whatever the case may be. When you leave Bryan High School, you're going to go to college or whatever the case may be. Do you think you will ever come back to Bryan or not? And if you would come back to Bryan, why would you come back? If you're not coming back to Bryan, why would you not come back? Give us some insight of because, you know, I mean, I could probably sit here and name off 15 individuals that have graduated from Bryan High School and came back to this community and has made a great impact in this community. And so we need to retain the talents that we are growing right here now with our young adults. Now, industrial parks, we've had some talk about the industrial park on 16 with the lots that we have out there. So we're going to come up with a plan, hopefully, to be more marketable with that facility. Now, I know Kerry mentioned there hasn't been a lot of things going on the North Industrial Park, but the mayor and I 2 years ago went to Findlay, Ohio, and Job Ohio was there, and there's a company called Insight. Job Ohio has hired Insight, and they are a marketing guru. They have Honda, they have Whirlpool, they have Nestle's, whatever, about 300 customers. So when their customer comes to Insight and said, hey, we want to relocate here, 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 whatever, then, you know, Jobs Ohio has these facilities. Well, so what they done is that Jobs Ohio and Insight says, here's a list, here's the qualifications. And I forget what it was. It must have been like 25 to 30 qualifications. You know, you have to have water, you have to have electric, you have to have roads, you have to have workforce, you have to have core samples or soil samples done. You got to have approval from EPA. I mean, it went on and on and on, okay? So I have it with me, but the report then comes back and says, you get a green for this, that means that you've passed. You get a yellow for that, which is, you're okay, you could change some things, and then you get a red. If you get a red, that means you got to make some big drastic changes, okay? Well, the trouble with that is that Job Ohio would only take 20 sites in the state of Ohio. So where does that leave little Bryan, Ohio, okay? Well, what has happened, what we've found out now, this has been 2 years ago, and they've certified 3 locations, sites in Ohio. Okay. At this point, we're not sure that any of them has a business or an industry on those sites, okay? Now, the positive side of this is we've been in communication, Matt, the mayor, everybody has been in communication with Jobs Ohio. So as we sit here and speak now, there are some things in the mill that could be positive for the city of Bryan and our industrial park. And the other thing is that if that does not work, we still have done everything we needed to do to get ready. Because if by chance we go to market and we market this industrial park, we have already done all the groundwork for anybody else to come in here. If somebody just out of the clear hits us on the web page and, hey, that's a great location, so that's exactly what we look, they don't want to come in here and get approved from EPA. They don't want to go through this whole thing. We've got it. We've got it in front of them, you know. So I had a conversation with Kevin Maynard yesterday, and if this thing with Jobs Ohio does not fly, we've been talking about an alternative measure to get our place marketed and go that way. So that's where we're at on the industrial park. I think it's positive. I really do.
Very good. We had to pay some bills here. We are on the radio, and we have the Mayor's Meet the Candidate session going on right now at the Stoney Ridge Winery just outside of Bryan. And it's all being brought to you by the Bryan Chamber of Commerce, by Andrews O'Neill & Lowe, Amerimaid Realty, the main stops of Northwest Ohio, Napa Auto Parts, Jay's Heating and Cooling, DMM Service Center here in Bryan, and also Bryan Municipal Utility, your home for cable and high-speed data. With that, we'll step away. When we come back, we'll get back into more questioning with our 2 mayor candidates.
Looking for career opportunities? They're closer than you think. Northwest State has more than 70 degree and certificate programs, so you can start on the path to a rewarding career or transfer your credits toward a bachelor's degree. Your future is knocking. What are you waiting for? Opportunities await at Northwest State Community College. Find out more at northweststate.edu.
They say there is strength in numbers. In Bryan, we have always taken pride in supporting our Golden Bear student athletes in all of their sporting endeavors. The Bryan Athletic Boosters now have a chance for you to get into the game. If you're Bryan proud, it's time to become Bryan strong. Whether you were a BHS athlete, are raising a BHS athlete, or just love supporting our Bryan High School athlete, this is your chance to be part of the BHS sporting community. Talk to any board member today on how easy it is to join, or contact us at 419-636-4536. As the baby boomer generation tires of traditional send-offs, funerals are becoming increasingly more personalized. People are pre-planning their own remembrance gathering. Pre-planning is easy and will pay off both emotionally and financially for you and your family. Plus allows you more control over your last hurrah. At Krill Funeral Service, we're not just funeral directors. We are experts at helping hearts heal.
You know, gathering with those we love, we get to catch up and we get to reflect on the past.
It seems like every time we get together, I always learn something new.
Here's the front page of the Columbus Dispatch when he won state baseball tournament, sliding into home plate.
Look at that, the front page. And that's a neat picture.
That was a great memory. I'll never forget that.
At Oberlin Turnbull Funeral Home, we understand that there are special memories that need to be remembered and shared.
Andrews O'Neill & Lowe is committed to providing you the best value for your insurance dollar. We are an agency built on integrity, offering personal service and sound advice you can trust. That's why we partner with experienced carriers like the Central Mutual Insurance Company for your auto, home, or business insurance needs. Central's quality insurance products are reasonably priced and backed by prompt, professional service, providing value for your peace of mind. Andrews O'Neill & Lowe is your local Central agent. Call us today at 419-636-5050.
Things are pretty much business as usual here at Bryan Ford Lincoln. Our techs are providing the same high-quality service that everyone in Northwest Ohio expects. Our sales team is providing our customers with the best price on new and pre-owned vehicles. Everyone is focused on winning another President's Award from Ford. Yeah, pretty much business as usual. Oh, I guess there is one thing different. Stop out and see the all-new Bryan Ford Lincoln.
Hi, I'm Dieter Held, here to tell you a little bit about the Darrow Shirky Ford Lincoln Employee Discount. This is a Ford Escape S package with an MSRP of $24,495. Ford is offering a $3,500 rebate on this Escape. And here's where the Darrow Shirky Employee Discount comes into play. It takes an additional $1,476 off the price of the Escape, bringing the total to $19,519.
How much can Darrow Shirky's Employee Discount save you? The only way you'll know is to stop by and see us.
Back here, Q96.5 FM, the Meet the Candidates session here for a Wednesday has both the mayor candidates in the city of Bryan, and we're brought to you today by Andrews O'Neill & Lowe, Amerimaid Realty, and Main Stops of Northwest Ohio, Napa Auto Parts, Jay's Heating and Cooling, D&M Service Center, BMU Cable and Internet, and also co-sponsoring is our partner, the Bryan Chamber of Commerce. And with that, Dan, we're going to come to you and let you kind of reopen up the conversation. How's that?
Before we left for break, we talked a lot about the industrial park and what we have, but I would love to know, and I'm hoping the audience wants to know, what your plan is for retaining what we've got. We have such huge manufacturers and great businesses in Bryan. What would be a plan for either one of you or both of you to retain what we have? How are we going to go about that?
Well, I think that, first of all, I was looking on our sheet the other day, and we have, well, and I'm not sure how accurate this number is, but we have approximately about $400,000 sitting in a revolving loan fund. And that revolving loan fund can be used for current businesses that want to expand, they want to bring in new equipment, they want to add employees, that type of stuff. They have to make a presentation to the city. But there again, that monies are available to do something like that. And the other thing is that I mentioned earlier in regards to visitations, going to visit these facilities and things like that. Now, I know that a lot of times they're not going to just lay everything out in front of you, you know, that, oh, business is bad, we're looking at relocating or whatever the case may be. But I think it's just that understanding their business and seeing where we could help. Rather, Ohio Art, when I visited Ohio Art, I was amazed at what they've done down there, and now they've got everything under a roof. You know, I mean, they got flat stock coming in, and they got one little company that's slicing it, okay, and then it comes up to their sheets so they can print it. Then it goes, there's another little G&M down there that then they take whatever, it's a 3x4, whether it's a disc container or a cap or whatever the case may be, then they print it. Ohio Art Princes goes to G&M, and then they go down there and slice it to the finished product. And so they've merged together with other companies to do this. So I think we need to find out, hey, where can we help? Is there, where you get your material? You get your material from Cleveland? You know, I'm sure they've done their research as well, looking for other suppliers closer by or whatever. But, you know, just anything that we can pick up that we could assist them with. And it may help other other companies within the county as well, you know, so.
Carrie?
Okay. I would like to start by first thanking those businesses. They are such assets to our community. We had a really tough time in 2008 and a few years after with the recession, and they hung in there with us. That has to speak to a lot of their sense of community as well. There are a lot of companies that are 100-year-old companies, and in Bryan, they could have gone somewhere else and they didn't. And since then, they've been expanding. I think that's fantastic to speak of our help with them in the city and communication and where we could help out. The communication can always get better. We get smarter. We get to know where they stand, what they need. I'll give an instance. Bard Manufacturing was doing a recent expansion. Brian Wheeland and our engineering department actually reached out to them and said, you know, we've got some tax abatements we can give you during this, and they didn't know. It wasn't something they realized they could take advantage of. That's going to help them when they're bringing in that new engineering department. So a lot of it is us. Maybe we need to start roundtables with businesses. I've had roundtables myself personally on other things with businesses for where we see the community growing over the years. Some of it has to do with the younger generation. They're starting to engage us. They want to talk to us about what their needs are and where they see their future. Those are always good ways and good keys in finding out where they stand, where we can help. Sometimes we're limited in that, but I do agree the revolving loan fund would be a great asset that we could start using, and we could use it for other things. One thing we need to talk about, and I hear it over and over again, we do have blight issues. And I know it's probably on your list later, so I'll be quick about it. But when people are coming into this community and they're trying to recruit doctors and engineers and executives in the community, they drive past South Main and they go, We've got a lot of gems in this community, and I see through that, and I think we all do. We see the beauty in our community, but that's another thing, going door to door in this community, as I have in the past number of years for certain things. I see a lot of the issues. I can see it closer because I'm not in my car driving by. I also see the beauty of some of those old historic houses on West High. I see some of the beauty in the remodeled businesses in the downtown square, and I think we can just continue to work harder and do better in getting everybody up to speed on that. Davelin is expanded. They are going to expand again. I think we need to, again, give a lot of credit to these companies who are hanging in with us during that economic time, and I think now is the time to continue to grow our relationships with them. Workforce development, it's going to be an issue. It's an issue everywhere, but again, these companies expand and they're all fighting for the same 10 guys to show up at the interviews, or they have people there and they don't have the work ethic. We need to start talking about that. I never once thought it would be hard for somebody to work 30 days in a row and not leave, and not want to go to a ball game with a friend and not go to work that day. But that's some of the issues that they're facing, and we need to make sure we continue with the education. I have great relationships with the school system and the people in them, and I do have relationships with a lot of the community's kids through my work with junior achievement, volunteering, the school levy, those kind of things. And when you mentor kids and you build a relationship with them, there's a reason they listen to you when you talk, because they respect you and they understand that you respect them as well. So these are things we need to continue to do.
Let's shift to downtown. We have maybe one of the most beautiful courthouses in the state of Ohio, and that's, I'm sorry. You know, downtown's undergone some upgrades over the years. Is it time to maybe pursue some grants, or do you have some specific initiatives to address downtown to keep it vibrant?
Okay, I'd love to start with that one. Downtown is one of my favorite places. Christmas parade that the Chamber does is like a Hallmark movie. It is, it's my favorite. We have the cookies and the hot chocolate at seasons. That's something my family and I always do. Santa Claus comes to town. The Chamber works very hard on the courthouse decorations and the lights that come on. It's a beautiful time. It's something we should brag about. We can do more of those things, and I think it has to be collaborated. I think the Chamber, and there's some things going on in foundations changing in the Chamber, and I know we're not ready to talk about that, but I'm very excited about the path that's taking. I do think that there was a time when we were working very hard and collaboratively with the Chamber to get businesses to understand the grant opportunities they had. I think we need to revisit that. I think that was a great program. We need to find a way to get back to these businesses and the understanding of where we can help them. The other thing I want to talk about is walkability. There are a lot of people, and it doesn't matter their age. I don't care if they're millennial. I don't care if they're our senior citizens. I don't care if they're in between. They want to be able to get downtown by bike, by walking. You know, we have beautiful park system. We're working on the bike paths there and the sidewalks and those kind of things, but that's something we need to spread throughout town. It is something I can tell you today is not in the city's budget, but that doesn't mean that we can't find some grant options for some of the other areas of town, and it's not something that I'm not afraid to go out to the community and talk about. How do we fund this? How do we pay for this? What are you as a taxpayer or a citizen willing to do for even your own yard? I live on a corner lot. The question is, well, would you pay for sidewalks? Well, yes, I would. That's something when Josh and I lived on Main Street in Montpelier. They came through and they said, everybody's got to fix their sidewalks. You can use our guy. Here's the money you pay. And we fixed our sidewalks. Unfortunately, 2 years after that, they had a Main Street grant come through and they dug up the sidewalks that we had paid for. So we have to make sure we're smart in that. But it's going to take community involvement. This downtown area is everybody's. It's not the Chamber's responsibility to make it beautiful. It's not the city's it's our responsibility together. I talked to Dan a couple months ago. It'd be great if we could talk to the business owners who have vacant buildings. Obviously, your wife is a beautiful artist. There are tons of artists in this community. If you look at the hospital and other areas, if we could find a rotation where we're putting local art in those windows and just kind of giving it a better aesthetic feel when people are looking, and just rotate that out every couple weeks. There's always something new, and then you don't have the sun damage of the paintings. I think that's something easy and quick we could do today. So yes, to answer your question, downtown is on my list of things I'm looking at.
Yeah, people still today, I mean, we have some friends came in from Michigan, and last year around Christmas time, and they just said it was just beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful downtowns they've ever seen. But again, Dan and I have talked about this. I think Carrie mentioned it a little bit there too, is that you had grants some time ago, and whatever it was. I mean, if you had a $20,000 grant, you know, and somebody wanted to do a new roof job or put new windows in, whatever it is, they had to match that grant of $20,000. He busted his butt to get it done, and just business owners, rather not so much the business owners, the landlords involved and things like that, just did not want to invest the money in that. Now, I was just standing on the corner yesterday, and an individual and I was talking about this very same thing, and we was looking at where the Financial Johnson and Stockman, right above there, that wall that goes by, used to be the jewelry shop, that whole wall sits there, and you can see it's stained in the whole 9 yards. And this guy says to me, well, why can't somebody just come up here and paint that and put a mural on there and things like that and put lights on? I mean, that'd be beautiful, okay? But the thing is, I know the owner. And I know he won't do that. He will not, if the city or anything would give him $30,000, he won't match $30,000 to have it done, or whatever that amount is, okay? Another individual approached me about downtown and talking about taking those vacant apartments or storage upstairs and making those into like downtown Chicago, you know, and breaking them into condos and things like that, you know. And I mean, that'd be a great idea, you know. And I think the other thing is that we had the Oktoberfest, but you go down in Bryan on Wednesday night, we got the band concert. Thursday night, you got the cruise in and things like that. So I'm thinking, I haven't talked to Dan about this, but I'd like to see, again, just somehow we could bring more activities downtown, and then we could also maybe convince the business owners to stay open a little longer, or whatever the case may be, you know. Now, Carrie touched on a lot of other things that has nothing to do with downtown, but again, she talks about sidewalks. I'm for sidewalks, okay? But the thing is just because I'm for it, a sidewalk going down in front of my house, and you're for it, you may not be for it. You know, because I'm 70 or you're 70 years old, and you're fine with the way your lawn looks and things like that, and you don't want to go out there and shovel and all this and that. Now, the next thing is, like she says, where are you going to get the money? I'm just saying, if you start going out and getting money, you know, and trying to raise money to put sidewalks in, you better be careful, because if you do it on the south side of town, you're going to have to do it on the north side, and then you're going to have to do it on the east side, and the whole 9 yards. So where's it going to stop? But I agree that there are places, and I'm talking existing sidewalks and things like that, but we cannot use government money, city money, for private sidewalks. We just can't do it. That's not allowed. Okay.
It's just the property.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I do want to just clarify just a little bit with the conversation that I just heard. Have we had any historic grants? Have we gone for any downtown grants since the last one that I was part of? That's been 15 years ago or so.
No, Jim, they are one of the most difficult things to go after. And
Sure.
When the city and the chamber went, it's probably been 10 years ago, it was very difficult. There was 4 communities in the state of Ohio that received that.
Sure.
I think they've dropped that now, that only 2 communities can get that, and you have to wait almost 6 or 7 years before you can even apply. And then the city has to do a lot of work with that. So I think with both candidates, they both want to see that happen.
Sure.
As they both said, they met with me and we've talked about it. So I think that's a positive on both candidates.
Well,
yeah.
and I think it's time to revisit it, because
Yeah,
I do know,
absolutely.
obviously I have family, and they're doing it in Defiance every day of the week. So I would think maybe it's time to revisit and maybe refocus a little bit the efforts again. Maybe things are getting better. I don't know, but I know back in that day, the couple that I was part of were 100% funded, and they were standing in line to take the money. I know there's some hard-headed people. That gets to be your guys' job to get to go down and talk and work with some of those folks, because we were part of those things too.
It was on the second grant. The first grant that we got in 1998, 99. There was a tough time getting business owners to take part in that.
I ended up, because let's clarify that. I ended up not getting some money that time because there were too many people at that point in time, and I lost out. No, the first time.
First time.
I got money both times. So I just, to be, not trying to be argumentative here, but the dollars were used both times to a total. There were some efforts, there were times when you had to fight people. Right. Then they kind of seemed to catch on that, oh gosh, they're going to give you free money here. Yeah. And then we started to have people get along. It is amazing how people won't take free money at times. Okay, yeah. I do agree with that point. Yeah, Tommy, sure.
Can I make another?
Sure.
Carrie touched on the blight issue, and that definitely is
that's on where we're heading. I think that's where we're heading. That's great. Wonderful. Please.
Well, just for example, this morning I went traveled down South Main Street. I received a complaint last night. So I went down to South Main Street and went in behind the alley where this person told me to go, and it was an absolute mess. It was. There's cars there, you know, wheels off of them and half covered up, and just trash all over the place. And on other people's property, there's a vehicle on another person's property. we have an issue. And when I was doing some consulting work here a year or so ago, I went into a town of Elwood, Indiana. And when I came in the south end of Elwood, Indiana, there was street lights, there was sidewalks, the street was paved, and the whole thing looked beautiful. And you went on the north side, it was the same thing. Now, you went to the east and west, a little bit, you know, but when you come in on South Main Street and you hit Circle K and you go up there for the next block, 2 blocks, it's a sight. It's a sight. And so that is one area that I'm going to pursue definitely.
How do we pursue it? How do
well,
we
I
go
think
after that again? 'Cause
one
it's
thing
personal
is,
property again.
yeah, right. That's
Sure.
key. And I've talked to the fire chief about it because there's one property down there that's just full of trash, bags all over the place inside this. And I said the chief, I said, you can't do anything out there. That's a fire hazard, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
And he says, no, that's on property private. That's within the dwelling, and I can't touch it, you know, this and that. So again, I have talked to Rhonda about it, our city attorney, and we have changed some of the things that we're looking for. But I know, again, another town I went to, the mayor and a couple other officials, they would take a quarter section every month. And they go down, make notes of they seen this, east spouts down, windows busted, whatever the case may be. Then they'd come back, and the next time through, if it was stay there, then they would send them a notice and then try to. But it's almost sometimes like what we ran into with certified or bonded. Right. You can't find the owners don't care. Yeah. You can put you can send them notices. They don't pay. So again, we need to do a more diligent job of finding these places. And the other thing is that we have, out of our engineering department, we had Andy Watterson going out looking for the grass and also whatever is going on in a neighborhood as far as blight. And then we have Cliff Weigel on the police department. And he's specifically, or pretty much specifically for what I saw this morning. A car in the backyard, no tires on it, blah, blah, this and that. Go in there, and talk to them, see what they're going to do about getting this cleaned up and things like that. So then we start the process. So now, I would like to see us put a little more teeth into our ordinance of what we can do and what we can't do legally, so.
Okay, again, the subject is on blight. That's something that I've always talked about. I will tell you, probably 6 months after I was elected on city council, an individual came to me with a list of addresses, and he, I think, tried to talk to a lot of council members. I took that list to the mayor. The mayor arranged a meeting for me to meet with Cliff Weigel and Andy Watterson and Bryan Whelan, and so we were all in a room together, and we went through these addresses one by one. One of them was a junk vehicle complaint, and it turned out that it was an elderly gentleman that could not fix it and did not have the strength anymore. So Cliff called the family and was able to explain the situation, and the family came and cleaned it up. 2 of those homes were actually in our CHIP program, so there was grant money available. They were in the process of fixing the home. I think that's great. I think if we can communicate that CHIP program and other programs that are available, we need to do that. Because one area of blight I do have concerns with is I don't ever want to make someone homeless because we've just gotten sick of all this stuff and the lack of painting and the lack of care that when they've had a tough economic time, and we make someone homeless and a family. And so we have to be very careful. We also have to be very prudent. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the people in charge of the blight, because they're in charge of many other things too, maybe they don't have enough time to dedicate to that. Maybe it's something we need to look into as far as, I know we did at one point talk about having part-time employment for someone to come through and just be the enforcement officer in that. It's probably something that we need to revisit, because I do think that it is a concern. It's a concern for me. We want the town to be as clean and as inviting as the people that are in it as we can. And that's another thing. Sometimes it takes communication and education. I think Cliff and Andy do that as well as they can. I think that we are sometimes limited on the legal action that we can take. But I do think we need to revisit what's going on with the enforcement and why it's not being done as quickly or as effectively. I don't think it's the fault of the enforcement officers that are doing it. I think maybe it's a lack of time because they are, I mean, Andy this last 2 weeks has been overseeing the Clark project and the South Street project and other projects where he has to be there supervising that and doesn't have the ability to go out and check for weeds and noxious items. So it may be something we need to just restructure in the city. Maybe that's where we're failing our citizens.
Sounds like it's another one of those money problems too. You can't really afford to go out and get somebody full time. But if you make the legislation tough enough and make the teeth strong enough where there are fines collected, maybe there's a way of at least getting a part-time or more help.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping Kerry wasn't referring to me that I want to make someone homeless. That's not the intent at all. You know, but again, what I look at is that I know some of the landlords that own some of these properties, and I think that they're just interested in every month they're running there and they're going to fill up their wallet, and that's pretty much what they care for. And so I agree with Kerry too, that and what I'd said as well is that, you know, we need to sit down and address it, see what we can do, what we can't do illegally, and see if we can put a little more pressure. Now, how do you approach it? You know, I mean, you just go in there and start citing them and then writing them up like you are in high school or something like that, you know, give them a yellow pass or whatever. Or do you sit down and say, hey, how can we work this out? You know, how, you know, look, we want to make this community look nice, okay? And in order to do that, you need to help us and we'll help you, you know? So
any quick last thought there, Kerry? Because
I
want to move
certainly
on
never
to
intended that Mr. Moore would make anyone homeless. So I just would like to clear that up.
I didn't think that was the case. I don't think anybody else did either. How's that? I want to keep it somewhat on this one, and because it's money. There's a big trash day very often in the city of Bryan right at this point in time, okay? For an awful lot of people's mind in this town, that is helping the exact person you pointed your finger at a minute ago, okay? That person who's a landlord who takes advantage of it. What's the cost nowadays? Can we cite the cost of that off the top of our heads? How much it costs us to pick up big trash day nowadays? And the mayor probably can tell us if we don't know for sure. He probably has that off the top of his head.
Yeah, well, it's all combined with trash and recycling and the whole 9 yards, you know. But
it's expensive, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's expensive, and you know, I don't know right now off the top of my head what our tonnage is going to landfill, but I mean, we send dump truck after dump truck out there every week out there, and in fact I was talking to Tyson the other day. So not only that, but we spend, I would say that he'll have 12, 13 guys. For a day and a half, every week, day and a half, all day on Tuesday, most likely done on Wednesday, noon. Sometimes it may drag in all day Wednesday, but again, just the cost of that, having that done. So what do? Okay, we look at that, and I'm for if we are in a position where the city is losing money on a particular thing, project or service, we need to look at that. We need to see we need to address it as far as farming it out or how we can change, you know, the routine around or whatever the case may be. But look at a couple of different options and see what we can do. Now, whether that's instead of picking up, having a monthly trash every month, maybe every other month, every third month, but then you say, well, here you go. If you leave it go 3 months, you're going to have 3 times as much as you would have had in the first month, you know, and things like that. So look at options, look at the cost, you know, and make sure the people are going to get the service that they continue to get.
Yeah.
You
Kerry, real quick, couple of minutes, we're going to hit the top of the hour. Could you give us your insight on that too?
Yeah, I also do not have that number off the top of my head because it is combined with a lot of other items. I will say in the past year we consulted with a local firm to take care of our bulk cardboard. That was something we had excess of. Tyson Ingstrom came to council and asked if we could consult with a local firm, which I think is great because it helps us and it helps this local company that's in Bryan. and they were able to get semis full of it and make a little more money and not charge us any more than what we were already being charged to recycle that in smaller bulks. I think we're always looking at ways to improve. I love trash pickup personally. I think, A, it helps me out. I've got 5 people living in my house. We have a lot of trash. The other thing is it does help with the blight issue. If people know that at the end of the day they can put it out there, or if they have renters that do kind of trash up a place, it's not something the landlord just dumps in the front yard and is there for weeks, because that does happen in other communities. We always have to make sure we're cost effective there. I agree with that as well. So it's something we revisit frequently on council, and I'm sure the mayor does. He does with us. I would like to speak about our trash department, though. Tyson Engstrom does a great job running the street department. I have heard stories as I go door to door of elderly people who have said, you know, I don't have the ability anymore. I'm not capable of taking my trash out, and your guys come to my porch and pick it up for me, so I just want to thank you for that. And so again, we speak to the servant's heart of our employees. They're good people.
Yeah, no, they really are. All right, we are amazingly enough of the noon hour right now, and we need to step away for just a minute and do an ID and a commercial break. We have the mayor's candidate event going on right now, and we're at the Stoney Ridge Winery just outside of Bryan. I have Carrie Slade and Tommy Moore. We'll be back after this.
Looking for career opportunities? They're closer than you think. Northwest State has more than 70 degree and certificate programs, so you can start on the path to a rewarding career or transfer your credits toward a bachelor's degree. Your future is knocking. What are you waiting for? Opportunities await at Northwest State Community College. Find out more at northweststate.edu.
They say there is strength in numbers. In Bryan, we have always taken pride in supporting our Golden Bear student athletes in all of their sporting endeavors. The Bryan Athletic Boosters now have a chance for you to get into the game. If you're Bryan proud, it's time to become Bryan strong. Whether you were a BHS athlete, are raising a BHS athlete, or just love supporting our Bryan High School athlete, this is your chance to be part of the BHS sporting community. Talk to any board member today on how easy it is to join, or contact us at 419-636-4536. At Krill Funeral Service, we are professionals with the sincere desire to reward every family who have placed their trust and confidence in us by being attentive to every detail, displaying the highest level of courtesy and compassion, and providing the greatest measure of respect for their wishes. As remembrance planners, our goal is to help families find joy in the way they choose to remember, honor, and celebrate the wonderful life of their loved one. Krill Funeral Service, we are experts at helping hearts heal.
You know, gathering with those we love, we get to catch up and we get to reflect on the past.
It seems like every time we get together, I always learn something new.
Here's the front page of the Columbus Dispatch when he won state baseball tournament, sliding into home plate.
Look at that, the front page. And that's a neat picture.
That was a great memory. I'll never forget that.
At Oberlin Turnbull Funeral Home, we understand that there are special memories that need to be remembered and shared.
Andrews O'Neill & Lowe is committed to providing you the best value for your insurance dollar. We are an agency built on integrity, offering personal service and sound advice you can trust. That's why we partner with experienced carriers like the Central Mutual Insurance Company for your auto, home, or business insurance needs. Central's quality insurance products are reasonably priced and backed by prompt, professional service, providing value for your peace of mind. Andrews O'Neill & Lowe is your local Central agent. Call us today at 419-636-5050.
Things are pretty much business as usual here at Bryan Ford Lincoln. Our techs are providing the same high-quality service that everyone in Northwest Ohio expects. Our sales team is providing our customers with the best price on new and pre-owned vehicles. Everyone is focused on winning another President's Award from Ford. Yeah, pretty much business as usual. Oh, I guess there is one thing different. Stop out and see the all-new Bryan Ford Lincoln.
Darragh Shirky Ford Lincoln's employee discount is available to everyone, and the savings on new Ford trucks is incredible.
I'm Dieter with Darragh Shirky Ford Lincoln, showing you the brand new 2017 Ford F-150 XLT. Has an MSRP of $42,040, with Ford rebates up to $5,250. With a Darragh Shirky employee discount of $4,335, bringing the price of the truck to $32,455, and you'll save up to $10,000 on this truck.
Back to Stoney Ridge Winery. We have the mayor's candidates for the city of Bryan with us right now. And Ron, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Good, thank you. I got a question for Carrie. If elected, you'll be the first female mayor of Bryan in history. Are you aware of this historical fact, and how much significance do you give it?
Someone made me aware of it. To be honest, I think I knew, but it's not something I'm trumpeting as a glass ceiling breaking. God made me who I was, and he made me a female. I do think that I have a lot of work ethic to give the city, hard work, determination. I think it's actually a credit that I am a mother. I see things a little differently. I think I've brought different views to council, and I hope to do that on the mayoral level. As far as being a mother, I'm not concerned about it. I have a great support system. My husband has owned a business for almost 20 years. And has done so as a father for 14 of those, and he does a fantastic job. We raise our children together through the help of our friends, families, neighbors. Our parents are great supporters of us. We have a neighbor in our backyard that has, since we moved in, really taken a liking to our kids, and she was never married and doesn't have children of her own. But yeah, it is, I guess, a historical event. I hope that doesn't discourage anyone from voting for me. Because I know that that could be a possibility, but I do think that I bring a lot to the table. I have a lot of energy to give the city. I have a lot of knowledge in the history of what I've done. And if I'm the first female mayor, that's great. I think that it's 2017. Maybe there should have already been a female mayor.
Thank you. Tommy, you served several council terms. How does that put you in a better position to serve as mayor than Carrie, who served one term?
Well, I just think that, again, being the president of council for 5 years, the mayor and I have had a lot of involvement together, you know, giving me a better understanding with all the departments. And I am a on-hands type person. You can talk to any department head. I'm retired, so I just may show up, you know, in their department, just walk around, see what's going on. I try to get out to every project that the city has going on, whether it's the wastewater, whether it's South Street, whatever the case may be. And I think that just understanding, you know, people, their complaints, their needs, their concerns, has been a vital part of being on council and understanding. Council, I've loved it. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and I've learned a lot. And I just think that just over the years of experience being involved in that, you know, gets me firsthand on what's going on in the community and things like that. And so I just think that, and not only that, but me personally, I think that whether I was in private business or whether I was in the Army or whatever the case may be, I've been faced with some big challenges. I've been faced with some tough decisions, and I think overall I've made those right decisions. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect by no means. I think, like anything else, is that you surround yourself with good people. And I have a plan that I'm going to try to do that as well. I think that the biggest factor right now that I see is, and it's not a negative type thing at all in regards to the people, but right now I'll be going off council. So if I'm not elected for mayor, I'm off council. So that means that now we have a new council person replacing Keith Day. We have a new council person replacing me. So we're going to have, right now, we're going to have two new council people. And I just feel that with my leadership that I've shown as president and on council, people, even council people, members will call me various times. Hey, what do you think about this? What should we do? What's your thought process? How do we pursue this, that type of stuff? That makes me feel good that they rely on me for some guidelines and that type of stuff. But I think that having someone with experience in there, with the city, with the council, how the government is run, and things like that, I think it's a plus right now with the council, with kind of a little bit of a turnover in council. So that's my point. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just a quick reminder, anybody listening right now, we are at Stoney Ridge Winery. They are going to have lunch here. The candidates are going to hang out a little bit afterwards, so you can come out and talk to them. If you're listening to us right now, I'll give you a heads up so we've got enough time. We're going to end this at 12:30 today, and then they'll hang around for as long as they'd like. And also Michael Galbraith will be here with us as well. So they'll be here if you would like to come out and eat lunch with us and stay. And to everybody in the room, please stay, have lunch, and ask questions if you'd like to. Okay, let's get into some other things, guys. We've got a Lincoln School project, and we have some new land. What are we going to do with the land? And then secondly, one of the hot issues around the area right now is the legal marijuana facilities that are potentially wandering around. Stryker might be one of them. That if that turns out to be a good situation and a good deal for the village of Stryker, may it be a good deal for the city of Bryan. And I'll start with Carrie.
Okay. Lincoln School, that was deeded to us with some restrictions in the resolution the school board passed. It has to be used for public use, and if it's not, it's reverted back to the school. Right now, I believe the basketball courts are still there. I know the playground equipment is. I don't think council or anyone else in the city has made any kind of determination as to what for sure that will be. I'm sure we're open to ideas. Rick Hoopie and I will sit together in mid-November and go over the budget, and I'm hopeful that Ben Dominic, at the Parks Director, will have some kind of plan outlined for us to go over. As far as municipal marijuana, first of all, our council passed anonymously for a moratorium, so we are not allowing it at this time. I do think that if it's something that you need for an illness, there are prescriptions that you get from your facility. You can get that filled. There's no issue to that. Whether it be sold or made and manufactured in Bryan, that's something that we don't allow right now. It was something that at the time we weren't comfortable because there wasn't a lot of legislation out, and we have not revisited that. I'm going to be pretty honest. I don't have an opinion either way, and I think that I would lean more towards not allowing it than I would allowing it, because you can get it. If you need it, you can get it. We're not restricting that. It's just the manufacturing, the vaporizing, those kind of things are not allowed. Obviously, with government, we have to be a little flexible. So I don't know what to tell you. The answer would be if it works great for Stryker, but today where I said, I would say no. I want to touch a little bit on the 12 years experience, and I don't negate that you've done a great job for the city of Bryan, Mr. Moore, but my experience in the last 11 years has been with the city. It's just been at a different level. I worked for the city attorney's office. I was a paralegal there. I prepared the legislation that was passed. I am very familiar with Ohio Revised Code, which I think is something that a mayor would have to be as the laws change. I worked there during the big police negotiations and had a little bit of insight in that as well. So I wasn't on council, but I do have that knowledge. I've always kept a pulse on this city. When I wasn't working there, I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission. When I took a job at the school for 1 year to help them out during their transition of going from 5 schools to 2, I was on the Community Reinvestment Board. And then, of course, I ran for council and was elected in a 3-person race by a 51% majority. I think I have a lot of experience. I think I have a lot of legal background. And as far as replacing me on council, I am the council member at large. When Mr. Hoopie was appointed to replace someone's term, there were 5 people from that ward that said, hey, I'm it, give me a call, I want to serve. He was picked from those 5 people. I think when you take an at-large position, I think we can find a really great person, because a lot of people are more willing to be in this kind of position if they don't have to go through the election process. So I'm not concerned about finding a qualified person to replace me if I were mayor. I guess I'm not as concerned. So I just wanted to touch on that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we kind of missed that recourse there. So I apologize for not asking you that, and thanks for adding that. Tommy, let's talk about that ground in the pot.
Well, just like Kerry said, you know, the property has been deeded over to the city and things like that. We have had some discussions on what we want to do with that. Again, someone approached me the other day about, well, you're going to build apartments there? And I think, no, that's not part of the package at all. So that's out of the question. The other thing is, well, what do we do with it? We have had some small discussions, maybe putting a little small shelter house there, and then leave the playground equipment that is there intact. Then I've also heard that just from different people, just remove everything and just make it green, because it's not being taken care of, it's being vandalized, that type of stuff, you know. So again, I think that to upgrade all that equipment and repair some of it, add new, I think the number was somewhere around $30,000 that we would have to invest in that. The marijuana issue is that, again, Stryker has just basically said we would be willing to become a site. And at this point, as far as I know, this is just probably a couple weeks ago, a month ago, the state still has not decided who's going to manufacture it, who's going to sell it, who's going to prescribe it, who's going to control it. That none of that, and that's why we turned it down when it come to us. Now, if they get this stuff under control, or they come up with all the rules and regulations, we'll address it then too as well. But again, I'm in the same boat as what Kerry is in that. You talk to me, I'm not in favor. Now, I'm not in favor, you know, with recreational use, but I'm not saying that if someone needs it, that they can extend their life or quality of life or whatever the case may be. I don't have an issue with that, as long as it's done through the proper channels, the regulations, things like that. And they have not established that yet, okay? And I say that there's still a link here of when a person starts using marijuana for recreational facilities, it leads into this. It leads on to more and more. Last year, I know in the county, we had 10 cases of overdose deaths. Now this year, it's down. The last I heard, it was down to 6. But 1 is too many, you know. And we are, and there again, I'm a big believer in our youth, keeping our youth here, keeping our youth healthy, things for them to do and things like that. And if we can somehow, and I've talked to the sheriff, I've talked to our police officer, or our police chief as well, in regards to, can we help in any way? We're more than willing to help in any way to help you, assist you in getting this problem under control. Right now, way I understand it, we are 2 steps away from the cartel in Mexico. It comes out of Mexico, goes into Texas, it finds its way up into Toledo area, then it comes out here. That's pretty scary, you know. So again, that's my issue with the marijuana situation in that part.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking about that, I guess, do you favor Bryan police carrying Narcan? And also, do you favor body cams for the police? And if so, how will we pay for it?
Well, what you're talking about, the drug, is that I know our police officers, I believe, carry it, but I can't vouch for that. But I don't think they do. No. But I know the sheriffs do. The sheriff's department does, and it's my understanding they use it for their own protection, you know, in case they get exposed or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. That's what I understand with that anyhow, you know. And what was the
body
other?
Cameras?
Oh, body cameras?
How do we pay for it? Are you in favor of it or not?
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing. You know, again, I think we'd have to go through our legal channels and make sure and things like that. But again, I have confidence in our police that, you know, nothing out of the ordinary is going to happen or anything like that. You know, I think they, you know, they're going to do their job, and whatever it takes to do that job, they get it done. You know, and if they have a body camera on, so be it. You know, here's what it looked like. Here's what happened, and that's the case. You know?
Carrie, what's your take on that?
As far as body cams, I am in favor of them, but we do not have the funding for them. So if it's somewhere where we could get a grant that would help us provide that, I would be in favor of them. The dash cams came out several years ago. Those have been helpful with, you know, basically the investigative process of those cases. As far as Narcan, our police department does not carry Narcan. If the sheriff's office does, it's been very recent. I know the hospital does have it. On a humanitarian level, do we need Narcan? Yes. On a budgetary level, if I were strictly looking at the budget, I would say no. There are some municipalities that are going bankrupt from continuing to pay for Narcan and administrate it, and some people, you know, it's multiple times. And I don't know if I can be the person that says, well, you've had it twice, you don't get it today. I know I'm not that person. Is it something we can look into? Yes. But if it's going to be a financial detriment to our community, I think we keep it in the hospital level where it is right now. And there's really no great way to answer that question. You have to pick one or the other, and that one's hard. So,
I was going to ask you if we could save money on garbage pickup. We had talked about that before. Garbage pickup by outsourcing. Are there any other ways, or any other departments, any other way to save money in the county budget or in the city budget by outsourcing? Do you see anything?
You mean besides the trash, you're saying?
Yeah, right.
Other than that?
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing is that somebody mentioned to me that we seem to outsource a lot of things, you know, within the city, you know, and like, for example, concrete or sidewalks or whatever the case may be. But I don't believe that. I think that I know I was talking to Tyson here some time ago, and we maybe outsource a few things, you know, where it's, for example, if we're digging a hole where we got to get into a sewer line or something like that, you know, if it's X amount of feet deep, we don't have the cages to go down in there for safety of our employees. So yes, we would have to outsource something like that. They're cutting curbs in around the city, that type of stuff. We're doing that all ourselves. They're between us and BMU, they're going around and they're cutting trees down. We got our own people coming out and removing the stumps. We've got our own people forming up the sidewalks and pouring the sidewalks. So again, there may be a couple things, but nothing. I think that the people that we have, the employees we have, I think do an excellent job of whatever it is that we need to do. We had an agreement with the township in regards to our chip and seal. Now, my understanding was they got out of that. Now they're back into it, but we've had to do that ourselves. So that's another area that we do. But with that chip and seal, we've done that jointly. And speaking of that, I just want to mention that the other thing that happens in the city that is extremely beneficial, that people I think just take it for granted, is the work that our employees do in conjunction with working with BMU. You know, that has been just a tremendous working relationship over the years, you know, and because they have equipment, they have expertise in some areas that we don't, and we have vice versa in our area, and so them working together, it's just been a great relationship in that way. And I think that it came up yesterday in regards to BPA and us, the council working together. And I remember, yeah, when I came on council 12 years ago, I know that there was some tensions there and things like that. But my conversations with Mr. Maynard has been great. He wants to continue that. In fact, he wants to have more joint meetings in regards to council and BPA coming together and things like that. So I think it's that particular thing. I think that's great for the city. We have a lot of valuable resources in our equipment and our people.
You mentioned that, you know, good public service from our garbage crew. We might lose that if we outsource, but we might save some money. Do you know? And are there any other areas in the city budget that you see that we might be able to save money on, and what would we do there?
Okay. Personally, and again, this is something Tyson Engstrom has a lot of say in, so it's something I would like him to have some say in, but I like our trash system. If we can continue to afford it the way that we do, I'd like to keep it. I think it, again, helps with the blight, the community relations, those kind of things. One thing that I never want to see outsourced is our taxation. The state is trying to go towards a more centralized taxation. That's something that we as council fight. We had the opportunity to go to CRA in Cleveland and have that, and we decided that monetarily it was better for us to keep it in-house. I agree with that. It's, again, us serving our constituents. Collaboration with BMU is going on, and it can always get better. And I think also with the county officials, you know, the state money is getting harder to get, and it is all coming from the same pot. And I do have those relationships where I think we can work together to collaborate on sources. One other area is technology. We don't use it to our advantage. There's a lot of free marketing that can happen with technology. I use it every day in my life. I scan documents, I email documents, I run social media pages. Those are things that we can do better and get faster in the community and in our city. You know, right now we get our council packets by paper. I think we probably need to, you know, act like it's 2017 and get a little more technology minded.
Very good, guys. It's hard to imagine, but we're almost out of time here today. I need to take one more commercial break. When we come back, we'll let both of our candidates summarize and wish everybody a fond adieu on this Wednesday. So let's step away right now.
Looking for career opportunities? They're closer than you think. Northwest State has more than 70 degree and certificate programs, so you can start on the path to a rewarding career or transfer your credits toward a bachelor's degree. Your future is knocking. What are you waiting for? Opportunities await at Northwest State Community College. Find out more at northweststate.edu.
They say there is strength in numbers. In Bryan, we have always taken pride in supporting our Golden Bear student athletes in all of their sporting endeavors. The Bryan Athletic Boosters now have a chance for you to get into the game. If you're Bryan proud, it's time to become Bryan strong. Whether you were a BHS athlete, are raising a BHS athlete, or just love supporting our Bryan High School athlete, this is your chance to be part of the BHS sporting community. Talk to any board member today on how easy it is to join, or contact us at 419-636-4536. As the baby boomer generation tires of traditional send-offs, funerals are becoming increasingly more personalized. People are pre-planning their own remembrance gathering. Pre-planning is easy and will pay off both emotionally and financially for you and your family. Plus allows you more control over your last hurrah. At Krill Funeral Service, we're not just funeral directors. We are experts at helping hearts heal.
You know, gathering with those we love, we get to catch up and we get to reflect on the past.
It seems like every time we get together, I always learn something new.
Here's the front page of the Columbus Dispatch when he won state baseball tournament, sliding into home plate.
Look at that, the front page. And that's a neat picture.
That was a great memory. I'll never forget that.
At Oberlin Turnbull Funeral Home, we understand that there are special memories that need to be remembered and shared.
Andrews O'Neill & Lowe is committed to providing you the best value for your insurance dollar. We are an agency built on integrity, offering personal service and sound advice you can trust. That's why we partner with experienced carriers like the Central Mutual Insurance Company for your auto, home, or business insurance needs. Central's quality insurance products are reasonably priced and backed by prompt, professional service, providing value for your peace of mind. Andrews O'Neill & Lowe is your local Central agent. Call us today at 419-636-5050.
Things are pretty much business as usual here at Bryan Ford Lincoln. Our techs are providing the same high-quality service that everyone in Northwest Ohio expects. Our sales team is providing our customers with the best price on new and pre-owned vehicles. Everyone is focused on winning another President's Award from Ford. Yeah, pretty much business as usual. Oh, I guess there is one thing different. Stop out and see the all-new Bryan Ford Lincoln.
This is Dieter showing you the 2017 Ford Fiesta that has a final price of under $13,500 here at Darryl Shirkey Ford Lincoln. How did we get there? First, there's a $3,000 rebate from Ford. Add in the Darryl Shirkey employee discount of $681, bringing the final price of this Ford Fiesta to $13,469.
At Darryl Shirkey Ford Lincoln, everyone gets the employee discount on all new Ford cars and trucks. Stop by and see how much you can save.
Welcome back to Stoney Ridge Winery, where we are wrapping up our Meet the Candidates event with the mayor's candidates here in the city of Bryan, Carrie Slade and Tommy Moore. And first of all, guys, thank you very much for the time. It's kind of amazing how an hour and a half can fly by when you think we're going to talk politics, and it goes pretty quickly, doesn't it, huh?
Yes. Sure does.
We appreciate both of your time today. We appreciate all the efforts, all the things you do around the community. We wish you both the best of luck come November the 7th, and I hope there's a lot of folks out pulling the ballots that day, okay? The only thing we have to do here right now before we wrap everything up and go home is allow you folks to have some final comments. We started with Tommy, so why don't we start with Carrie this time? And guys, take your time, kind of let people know, your final thoughts here.
Thank you. I'd like to start out by saying that I have worked for this community on a volunteer level for a number of years. And my question to you is, how do you think I will work for you if I'm actually getting paid for that position? I give 110% to everything that I do. Everything I've been involved in has been something that I've prayed about, I've talked to my family about, and we've always made sure that it was for the good of the community, not the good of the Schlades. And I think that's how you would lead a city. Is it for the good of the community? Because if it's for the good of you, it doesn't need to be done. I have examples. I don't think they need to be listed. I think if you've been paying attention, you'll know what those things are that I've been involved with. I have a lot of energy to bring to the table. I'm very passionate about this community. I will always put it first. And I'm incredibly approachable. There are people that come to me after they've had some discussions with others. People come in a room and they talk to me because I'm kind, I'm considerate, I care about others. I have that ability. I guess it's a character trait, as the school calls it. I have a huge sense of others. I don't like to talk about myself. I don't think it's important to do so. I think it's better to talk about what we can do together as a community. I have those connections. I've spent many years building those connections, and I think I have proven in this community that I have them and that people do respond when I ask for help. As far as leadership, I've held a lot of leadership roles on committees, in organizations. I'm not worried. I think our department heads are amazing people. They do a very good job every day in their city. It's my job to kind of intercept when it needs to be done on the day-to-day operations. But again, having worked there, served on multiple committees and organizations in planning and zoning and council, I know the day-to-day operations that are going on in the city. I know how things are done. I'm not concerned for that. So I think the reason to vote for me is, one, the energy, the passion, the approachableness. As your mayor, I don't care where you have grown up. I don't care where you live. I will always be willing to take your call and answer you and talk about your concerns. I'd like to remind everyone that early voting did start today. I know I said it at the beginning, but November 7th is the voting day. Get out, vote early. I will not say vote often, one time per person. But I appreciate everyone that is here today. I think it's great to have this kind of crowd. It shows that we have community members that care about what's going on, and this is an important election. Mayor Johnson's got some big shoes that he's left for whoever is here at the end of the day. I hope it's me, but either way, there's big shoes to fill, and we need to make sure that we keep in contact with the forefathers of this city, the previous mayors in this city, but also look for some progressive ideas on how to move us forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Tommy?
Yeah, thanks. Again, I failed to mention thank you guys, the radio station 96.5, Ron as well, Dan, for hosting this, and of course the winery here as well. Again, what you see is what you get with me, okay? I get up, whatever time the bell goes, I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm up. If it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm ready to go. That's the way I have a passion for this city, is that whatever it's going to take, how many hours, whatever time it is, I'm going to be there and do the job for the city and the citizens of Bryan. I've lived in this community for 48 years. I've made a lot of relationships here, great friends, known a lot of kids, coached a lot of kids, been involved with a lot of community activities around here, which I'm very proud of. I think it's just now, I know I've served 12 years on council and it's been great, but I think now that it's an opportunity for me to really expand out and let the community of Bryan know what I can give them. It's not what anybody's done in the past. It's the way I look at it. You know, whether I had something to do with Sumter Field, whether I had to do with Bob Schaefer Field, whatever the case may be, president here, president there. It's not what I've done in the past. It's what I'm going to do in the future to make this city better and a great community like it always has been. So that's my pitch. I think that the other thing is, I think we have a tremendous, I mentioned people coming back to our community. I think we have a tremendous amount of assets out there that we need to tap, and that's in people, that's in technology, whatever the case may be. But my plan is to get as many people. Now you can't have 100 people involved in things like that, but I'm looking at getting some other people involved to help decide what we can do, you know, with the future of Bryan. And one of them is that Kevin Maynard and I had this talk the other day. If this thing with Jobs Ohio and our industrial park doesn't go through, we got to come up with another way. And we kicked around I thought, some very good ideas, you know. And we talked about downtown, we talked about the blight issues, that type of stuff, you know. That's going to bring people in. Now, the thing is that, just real quickly, is even on that Jobs Ohio thing, we think we have a beautiful community and churches and schools, things like that. That was never on their radar. It's all other things, you know, that they want to know about EPA, they want to know soil samples, things like that. But again, just to get to it, the other thing is, I think my wife is definitely is going to say something different. But I think I'm a good listener. I think when we sit down and have a conversation with employees, with businesses, or whatever, I think I'm a very good listener. Now, when we're all said and done, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to try to gear through all this, and then when we're said and done, we're going to have an understanding of where you are and where I am at on this particular thing. And so it's pretty much black and white with me. I think that I have rapport with our city workers, with our department heads, and I think that's a valuable asset, you know. So again, I would like the opportunity to serve Bryan as their next city mayor. And again, you have a right to vote. And like Kerry says, vote. I don't care what you do, you know, and things like that. I would love to have you vote for me, but at least get out and vote. That is a right that you have. So thanks to everybody. Thank you very much.
Very good. Tommy Moore, Kerry Slade, thank you very much for your time today, guys. Tomorrow we'll be at the Union Street Grill. We'll have the Board of Education candidates with us, and we invite you all down there 11 o'clock until 12:30. There's lunch over here. It smells delicious. I'm going to have some myself. It's $8. Anybody out listening to us right now can come and join us for that if you'd like to. A big thank you to Stoney Ridge Winery today, and a big thank you to our sponsors. They include the Bryan Chamber of Commerce, Andrews O'Neill & Lowe, Amerimaid Realty, Main Stops of Northwest Ohio, Napa Auto Parts, Jay's Heating and Cooling, D&M Service Center, and we couldn't do any of this without BMU and Eric Herman and Big KB over there doing the job for us that you did today. With that, we'll step away here on Q 96.5 FM.